Hello everyone and welcome back to another Getting Stuff Painted by bi-weekly update, give or take on the miniatures I've been painting for the games we cover here on the channel. And I've been painting a lot again, so it's not been that long since the last update. And here we are again, and we've got a wide assortment of games to cover. This time from left to right we have Fallout Wasteland Warfare, we have Marvel Crisis Protocol, we have Warhammer 40k Kill Team, we have Age of Sigmar Warcry, and I guess those should technically be switched around because this is also Kill Team at the end there, so you know what, on the fly, let's just switch the last two right there. And as always, 90% painted with contrast paint. If you ever have any questions about specifics I forget to mention, you can always let me know in the comments or in Discord, and I'll happily try to answer to the best of my ability. Anyway, let's get started. So I have 4 miniatures to talk about from Wasteland Warfare. They're the last 4 I had from the Settler starter set that has existed from 2017, the dawn of quote-unquote the thing that Modiphius resin does. So it was in full swing here. I persisted as much as I could, but it was very frustrating because this is the worst for the contrast paint just not sticking to the miniature no matter how much you based it, cleaned it, etc. We don't need to go over that, but just as a matter of note, this is a generic, scavenger I think he's classed as, and we have a generic settler, Preston Garvey, and I don't remember the lady's name. She's the one who's at the fort for the Minutemen, and she kind of gives you the guide around and stays there. I'm sure you all know who she is. I do not remember her name offhand. But anyway, an assortment of snakebite leather. For the base, we have some Basilicanum Grey, Black Legion or Templar, Skeletal Horde for various cloth wraps, and Lead Welcher Silver for various other things. And then after everything is done, big old coat of Agrax Earthshade to give it that post-nuclear war grime that is so very prevalent in everything involving Fallout. So much the same. That is Rattling Grime for the wood for the interior. The other one of these I painted from that box ages ago and has been in all the videos. I did the lamp on, so creating light. Just to set them apart, I decided, nah, we'll have the light off for this one. And oh, that is Space Wolves Grey for her coat. Again, just to set her apart from how I painted the other one. And then a settlement, need your help again, Colonel? General? I think he calls you General. It's been a little bit. Even though I play Fallout 4 again fairly regularly, I very rarely talk to Preston Garvey because of his insistence on helping settlements. But anyway, the only thing that I did different for him is trying to get that coat colour to match his in-game coat. So what I did was I used Wraithbone, the other coat, base coat rather, you can use for contrast paint. I just used that and then put Agrax Earthshade over the top. So that's how I got that colour. His gun was pretty frustrating to work with, but good grief, I don't remember the musket rifle being that long in the video game. I feel like they got it a little off maybe, but either way, finally got him done. And then the lady whose name I don't remember, she's just wearing military garb, so that's Militarum Green for that. And that's about it really. And if you remember her name without cheating, you can put it in the comments. But you're not allowed to look it up because I could have done that as well. But no, I do not remember her name. But she's definitely the one that guides you around the fort they eventually reclaim from the Mirelurk Queen for the main base of the Musketmen. But anyway, that is that starter set from 2017 completely done. So that's out of the way. I don't have to deal with any 2017 Modiphius resin anymore, I think. I'm pretty sure everything else I have is at least 2018 or after. So I'm very happy to get those out of the way, and that gives me more settlers to use in the Wasteland Warfare series when it eventually returns. Whether or not I'd use these named characters to represent other people, I'm not sure. That's something I'd have to decide on the fly. So next, I finally got around to that box of Asgardian releases for Marvel Crisis Protocol that I got ages ago, and I just kept putting them off, and I don't really know why. Since then I have painted for like Apocalypse and Mephisto. I just could not muster the energy for this box, and I'm not sure why. This is 3 out of the 4. There is a Thor 2 model as people refer to it, but if you check back a few videos, I got a third-party sculpt that I think is infinitely better. I think that Thor sculpt is not very good, the pose isn't great, and the way he's holding his hammer makes no sense for any way you interpret it, what he's supposed to be doing in the pose. Don't need to go over it again, I covered it in the unboxing. It's a very bad pose, they didn't think it through. So I'm not in any rush to ever get around to painting that. Just going to have it sitting because I have a fantastic third party sculpt that is much better for him. standing on Surtur's flaming skull. So you can go back a few videos to see that if you want. So anyway, we have Lady Sif. We have Loki 2, and just in the sense that it is the second version of Loki to exist for the game. And we have Jane Foster, Mighty Thor, and these two can be leaders for Asgardians. I kind of struggled with all three of these, if I'm honest. I don't know if I was just having an off day for painting. Not that I painted them all in one day really, but a couple of painting sessions. But I just wasn't feeling it, and I'm not super happy with how any of them came out, except maybe Jane Foster. But for Sif, this is a lot of Bow Red, the base coat with Nuln Oil over the top, and Lead Belcher Silver with Gulman Flesh for the flesh tones. Not much to say about her really. Found it a bit hard to pick out her armour on the chest plate and the straps on the legs. Just a bit too small for me, unfortunately. But either way, she's neat. I think you could probably run a bit more of a wide Asgardian list now with her, because I think she's 4 threat, then you could have Valkyrie for 3, I think she's 3. We have Jane Foster or Loki as a leader, and then, I don't know, you don't need to have a Thor, is basically what I'm saying, an actual Thor, or for an Asgardian list. For Loki here, I used Striking Scorpion green and Iron Jaws yellow mostly, then and also Nazrak yellow for the golden shoulder pads, his trident, spear, whatever, and his horns. I didn't like how it looked, so then I did a little bit of lighting with the magic he's casting, his spooky enchantments or whatever he's doing. So for that I used the same green, but then I did a Niblet green dry brushing over it to make it brighter. Then I did the grey sear on top of that for even more brighter edges, and then also applied that to where it would be casting the light on like his forearm, his thigh, side of his leg, etc. So if you look at it from here, it's like normal, and then if you turn this side, it does kind of look like he's enveloped by the green light of the magic he's casting, which I think improved the visual a little bit. The cape is the part I'm most disappointed with. I tried to build up his cape in the same manner in which I built up that Batman I painted recently, the one that's doing like the flying kick with the absolutely huge cape. I really like how the cape turned out on that one. It got the perfect fabric look, and I kind of locked into it. So I thought, oh, I'll just try and do the same here with a mixture of contrast yellows and actual yellow paint, but yellow paint is just absolute murder to work with. It's so frustrating. So despite this being multiple attempts at layers, it just did not work out. So I don't like how that looks at all. Also partially why I decided to go for the whole reflecting the magic thing, just to try and make the model look a little bit better. So that is Loki. He is an alternative leader for Asgard, fun in his very classic costume. And yeah, pretty neat. Definitely shows how far they've come comparing like Loki 2 to the Loki 1 model that came out really early for Crisis Protocol. And even though I don't like the Thor 2 models, just in quality wise, you can obviously tell the difference between it and Thor 1 as well. Ironically, because the second Thor movie is the one nobody remembers and was rubbish, so that's great. And then finally, as we... Oh, is that an impatient dog dropping something on my foot? It is! Well, you know what? One moment. There we go. Threw a toy for her. Anyway, as I was saying, Jane Foster. You might hear her snorting as she's biting the tennis ball. Jane Foster, hopefully in focus Jane Foster, basically used a lot of the same colours as I would for any Thor. So Bow Red for her cape, Iron Jaws yellow for her hair, and for her kind of undercloak, because it is a slightly different colour to Thor's, I used Storm Fiend blue for that, and that's Agros Dunes, I believe, for the wraps around her waist and ankles. And then, as per usual, when I'm painting anything with lightning these days, I decided to play with the lighting. So I used Frostheart first of all, then applied the similar to various points of her body, then used, I think it was not Calgar blue, Cantor blue, I think it is. The light sky colour blue that Citadel does, not a contrast paint, just a normal paint. Just to try and pick up a little bit of reflection on her. It turned out okay. I still think it didn't turn out as good as that third party Thor 2 or Better Ray Bill where I did similar effects. I think the back actually looks better. But it looks okay. It makes it look very dramatic. She's doing her version of the hammer down, I guess, or Eat My Hammer from that horrible, horrible, horrible movie that we won't mention here. Cool model, also an alternative leader for Asgard. So I'm giving you more options beyond just normal Thor and Loki as well there. Cool miniature. Mighty Thor is pretty cool. Again, if you don't watch that movie, you just read the comics. So yeah, very neat. Just again, just if I'm painting a model and I'm feeling like this isn't really turning out that great. Usually I'll start getting experimental with how I'm doing like reflective lighting and surfaces and stuff. And even if it doesn't turn out super great, it usually still improves the baseline that I'm at. So it's always worth like just trying out, because you might luck into something looking pretty nice. Like I do kind of like how it looks from that angle there. Like you can definitely tell the lightning is just in the middle of boom, and then she's striking with it. Kind of like when Captain America's jumping with the hammer to attack Thanos. Kind of similar to that. So yeah, that is neat. So you may not see that Thor 2 model anytime soon. I don't know, but that is most of that box done. So then I can move on Marvel Crisis Protocol wise to the box of monsters, Dracula, etc. So next we have 5 models from the Commandos, and that's Commandos with a K, for the Warhammer 40k Orc Kill Team Mothers. Multiple, but this is the one that I have from the starter set that existed before the updated most recent version of Kill Team. You can pick it up super cheap. So it's been a while since I painted any kind of orc. I believe I painted one orc as a test for contrast paint when I was doing those kind of, here's something being painted with contrast paint, which might be returning this summer, by the way, when I have better lighting in general, because it's very dank. But either way, that's beside the point. So these are 5 of 11, it's 10 or 11 models. You get a bomb squig, you get a grot, you get your big boss. I forget their names offhand, unfortunately, because they are specialists. I think these 2 are just classed as regular boys, so these are just orcs. But then the rest I've still got to paint up are all the specialist guys. So there's a sniper, a burner, a rocket guy, a breacher, I think, or someone with like a jackhammer thing, and one other I'm forgetting offhand. But it was a nice change of pace, because like this is not something I paint. I've never been an orc collector back when I played 40k or anything like that. I was always Space Marines and Tau and that kind of thing. So I went in a different direction to that ancient painting video I did, because there's better colours available now. So, well, actually let's talk about these 2 just because they're tiny. Get the bomb squig out of the way, because the camera's going to really just have a conniption trying to focus on this guy. I think it might be right now. Flesh Tearer Red was the primary colour, Bow Red for the dynamite, Leadbelcher Silver for the mine strapped to the poor thing's stomach, and various antenna, and that was basically it other than non-oil. The bases for all of them are that AK Technical Paint concrete colour with Rattling Grime over the top, and then just some flock from Army Painter as well. I believe that's from their Wasteland range. So that is how I've decorated those, and just normal black paint for the rim. So that's a bomb squig. His only reason to exist is to explode. The grot is like a stealth grot. He's wearing stealth gear, so all you can see is his nose, and he doesn't really do much, and he's using a grapple gun. Pretty funny. So not much to say about him other than it wasn't Black Templar I used. It was, oh yeah, I used Black Legion for all the black on all of these. So it's the thicker, deeper black that doesn't fade as much as it dries for contrast. For instance, like Sif's hair was the other one. Militarum Green for the backpack there. Again, probably struggling to stay in focus or get in focus. There we go. And I think that was Basilicanum Grey for the flipper there, and that's about it. And any incendiary grenades are all just the Flesh Tearer Red. So fun little grot, and just a little guy. Him and the bomb squig count as half a selection of an operative each for Kill Team, so you get both of them and they count as 1. Then we have the big guys. Let's talk about the actual boss of the Kill Team. He's actually the one I've most recently finished, but he's probably the coolest. Tried to match up the official paint job, and he's using a military camo vest. Not sure those actually exist, but either way, I'm kind of happy with how I managed to get the military colours look, but I hate that because of the colours I use for their skin tone, it's hard to pick it out. So I kind of put myself into a corner there. For their skin tones, I used the Gut Ripper Flesh, which is designed for orc skin tone, unless you want to go in a specific, stylistic direction, of course. But for the military, like camo colours, I used Militarum Green, and then while it was damp, I did streaks of Agros Dunes and Skeletal Horde. And I again, it's really hard to see, but I love how the effect looks. I'm going to do it in the future if I ever do like any generic soldier dudes or anything, or maybe for Imperial Guard that might be fitting. But yeah, I really like how that effect turned out, so it was a good little experiment. For everything else, bunch of Leadbelcher Silver. I used Army Painter's Dry Rust to get the little rusty effect on the Power Claw. A lot of Flesh Tearer Red, And the black I was talking about. So not much to say. It's a very fun model and easy to assemble. I like assembling all these orcs took me a while just because there were so many of them, but the actual assembly process, despite not being push fit, was very smooth. Like I didn't have much problem. The hardest part was finding the things on the sprue, more so than any kind of assembly, despite all the wires and nonsense you get with the gibbons of an orc, because, you know, they're not exactly the cleanest. But yeah, so he's fun, and then we just have, as I say, I believe these two are just classed as regular boys. These are your generic unit, you're not specialist operatives, and use the same colours across them. Fun, definitely nice to just be, oh yeah, I use Bronze Scorpion for the bullet casings. Just a nice little different thing to be painting. So that is one boy, and here we have the other one who's just, he's very well built, but I probably wouldn't want your chest showing in a world of futuristic weaponry, but either way, I guess he's very ballsy about it. So that is the two generic guys done. Just got to get through all the specialists. It will take a little bit, and obviously we're just building up Kill Team, and I hope it's doing popular because I are doing well with the viewer verdict, because I have enjoyed playing it so far, so I would like an excuse to play more. Oh yeah, I guess I should quickly throw in, you might be saying, hey, didn't we see this guy last time when I was talking about painting up all those Ultramarines? No you didn't. I ordered another one of the generic warrior sculpt just so I could correctly have them on the field, because as given in the starter set, you're technically not running a legal list because one of them is the sergeant, but you've already have the captain. If you have the captain, you have to count him as a regular warrior. If you take him as the sergeant, you don't have enough regular warriors, so you have to take the captain. So in order to get around that, went to eBay, just picked up the generic soldier, warrior rather, from that list, because people, you know, they dissect those starter boxes and sell each bit individually for like a $5. So yeah, same as before. Didn't really paint them up any different because again, they are just meant to be the generic warrior, so they don't need to be fancy or anything like that, but I wanted them to match. I like the militaristic, you know, uniformal look to the Space Marines. So I painted him exactly the same way as I talked about last time. I went into much more detail about the specific colours I used, the spray paints, because there's not a lot of contrast work on this. So go watch the previous one if you want me to talk about that. So last but not least, I didn't leave a pointless thing at the end this time. I actually left something significant. This is the Blazing Lord for the Scions of the Flame from the Catacombs box for Warcry. That was certainly a lot of words. That I have painted up kind of as a test. I shouldn't have used the leader of the warband for the test miniature to see how I wanted to paint them, but hey, I did, so now it's done. And yeah, I like how he turned out. A lot of Bronze Scorpion, a lot of Lead Belcher Silver, a lot of, I think that was Blood Angels Red I used for this. And Null Oil over everything. The flame effect was a mixture of, let's see, Iron Jaws Yellow, Imperial Fist Yellow, and the Magma Droth Flame Orange. And at the back here, this was Space Wolves Grey for the coating. Trying to match up the official paint job. It's not 1-to-1, but it's close. For the base, this is something I did for my Yandin Eldar army back in the day for 40k. So the trick to it is, to get this lava effect if you aren't aware, you paint the whole base yellow, you mix in orange streaks and other yellow streaks, and it creates a lava look. You let that dry, and then you use a Citadel technical paint called Mordant Earth, I believe. It's very thick, viscous black. You pile it on, you do quite high piles, and then as it dries, it cracks into this kind of charcoal look. And it creates a very nice lava effect, and I deliberately left a little bit empty there so that you can see right through, so it's like there's a little bit of a lava stream. It's a wonderful effect, love it, still love it. Turns out great. I'm just going to use that technical paint. They do a whole range, like they do that black one. In the past I've used a kind of sandstone coloured one as well. They do a Mars coloured one as well. You know, it's all the fancy stuff they do. So, love how the model looks in general, just a very imposing, very large samurai guy with a flaming sword and flaming braziers on his head. So very cool looking, and this is just going to be the next warband I work on for Warcry, just as we go, while also doing a bunch of Kill Team stuff. But yeah, I'm very happy with how he turned out, and the next two I'm going to do are the one with the flaming scythe and the one that is immolating himself to do something. I don't know the rules yet, so, but either way, fun model. And that, as they say, is that. That is it for another Getting Stuff Painted. If you want to show me what you've been painting, feel free to do so by getting in touch on Blue Sky or Discord. What? What are you crying at? You left me a ball. 1 minute. We'll do the short version of the outro since the dog is wanting attention. I basically covered everything. I will see you in about 2 weeks for another update. I have plans for more Kill Team, more Warcry. Beyond that, painting wise, I'm not really sure. You'll just need to come back and see, I guess. That thudding you can occasionally hear is the dog getting very impatient. Picking up the tennis ball, dropping it, picking it up, dropping it, picking it up, dropping it. So I should probably go. Thank you for listening to me rambling. Hope this helps inspire you to get through your pile of grey shame. See you in about 2 weeks for the next one. Ta-ta for now.